Good morning, students. In yesterday's class, we have seen classes and objects. That is how we can create a class in our programming, and to get that functionality, how we are creating object. All those things we have seen in yesterday's class. So basically, we said class is an encapsulated entity where we are going to put data members and member functions in it. So in order to access those data members, and we said class is a passive entity, isn't it? Having a class, we cannot get the functionality from the class. So in order to get the functionality, or in order to get the usage of your class, we have to create the object. So inside a class, we are keeping data members and member functions. And how we are accessing those data members and member functions? With the help of object, isn't it? Object followed by the direct access operator, that is dot operator we are using. So any particular element, if you want to access from the class, simply what you have to do after creating the object followed by the dot operator and the data member or member function. In that way we can access. So data members directly we are keeping inside the class, but whereas member functions, we have two possibilities. Okay, either we can write the complete code of a member function inside a class, or it is also possible to write the code of your member function outside of the class. When you are writing inside the class, simply what we have to do from the end. Okay, yesterday we have seen a class something like this, class box. My class name is box, and we declared some data members in it. Okay, all types we have taken as double length, then double breadth, double height. Like this we have declared three data members. And member functions, when we are talking about like get volume, what we can expect from a box, we can calculate the volume and we can print that volume in our program. So to calculate the volume, we said the return type of the function is also double and get volume. When we are writing like this, so we have two possibilities. One way is we can write the code of your member function directly inside the class. This is the closing of your class. So in this way you can write the member function declaration, member function definition inside the class. Or the second possibility, simply we can declare the member function within the class and we can write the definition outside the class. How we can? It is very simple. Simply remove this one, remove the definition and do the declaration only. How we are doing the declaration? Like this. At the end we have to put the semicolon, then close this one. Okay, so this is the closing of the class, and here we have a member function declaration only. We don't have the definition. So now in order to give the definition, what we have to do? Outside of the class we have to give the definition. That syntax I have given in my yesterday's class. So it is very simple. First you have to write the return type, that is double, followed by the class name box, and we said we are going to use the scope resolution operator. Two colon symbols. Okay, one after the other. We call this as scope resolution operator. And now put your member function, that is get volume, and inside it you can write the code associated to that get volume function. In this way we can either we can write the member function definition within the class, or we can write the member function declaration outside the class. Two possibilities we have. Okay. Quickly in our today's class we'll be seeing access modifiers. Okay, we'll discuss access modifiers. One of the important feature of your object oriented programming is providing the security to the data. I told you when we discussed the differences between structural and object oriented programming. In structural programming we are focusing more on logic, and we are not giving that much attention to the data in structural programming. But whereas when we talk about object oriented programming, here will give more preference to data. Logic afterwards, isn't it? So when we are giving more preference, what I mean by more preference, we have to provide the security to the data, because data is everything. Data is very important. We have to provide the security to the data. So in that concept, in order to provide the security to the data, we are using this data, access modifiers are access specifiers. We call them as access modifiers or access specifiers. We have two names. The programmers or the authors will use these two names as a synonyms. Okay, access specifiers, or we can also call them as access modifiers. And why we are using these things means to provide the security to the data, to provide security, or when we are talking about security, that is nothing but to give data hiding or data abstraction. To provide data abstraction or to achieve data abstraction, we are using access specifiers or access modifiers. In C++, we have three different types of access modifiers. The first one is public access modifier. Then the second one, private. And the third one is protected. Public, private and protected. One by one we will discuss these three access modifiers in details. Okay, so the first one, here we'll see only public and private access modifiers. When it comes to protected, we'll discuss only these two. When it comes to protected, it is something related to your inheritance concept. Okay, inheritance, it is also one of the concept, object oriented concept. Again, in detail we will discuss what is inheritance. At that point only I'll be explaining what is protected. So for now, you just remember we have three different types of access modifiers: public, private and protected. When it comes to protected, we'll see in the concept of inheritance. After a discussion of inheritance, we'll see in detail what is protected and how we are going to protect our data members. Okay, so so in any class, when you are writing a class, you can have multiple types of access modifiers in your class. Like you can use public, you can use private, you can use protected. Okay, some members you can make as private, some members you can make as public, and some members you can make as protected. In that way you can have multiple types of data members and member functions in your class. Okay, if you are not specifying any access modifier in your class, then by default the access modifier will be private. Let us assume that I am writing a class, in that I'm keeping some data members and I'm not specifying any access modifiers to those data members. So by default they will be considered as private members, isn't it? So by default they will be considered as private. Yes, so that I will explain by taking that box class example for your understanding. So I'm writing a class followed by class name, that is box. In it, okay, I'm taking first type, that is public, followed by I'm taking double, then length. So this length data member is public now. Okay, then the next one I'm taking another data member and I want that data member as private. Okay, private double breadth. Okay, then finally I want the third variable like protected. protected double, okay, height. In this way, I can declare multiple types of variables, multiple types of data members inside my single class, Now, see over here, what will happen? The first data member length is of type public. So when you are using access modifier public, the scope public will start from this point and where it will end until and unless you start a new scope. If you start the new scope, the public scope will end at this point and the new scope will start from this point, that is private. So here the public access modifier will start and ends when you are starting the second type of access modifier, another type of access modifier, and as you start another type of access modifier, immediately the scope of the previous access modifier will end. Or we can also consider in this way. So here I am starting the protected access modifier's scope. So after this point, whatever data members and member functions I am going to use, all those will become protected. And where the scope of this protected access modifier is going to end means when it sees the closing bracket, because we are not having anything in between. After declaring this height data member, I don't have anything. So directly the closing bracket I have. So where that scope is going to end means the scope of protected element, protected access modifier is going to start at this point and ends when it sees the closing bracket, closing curly bracket. So in that way you have to remember the scope when you are specifying a specific type of access modifier, immediately the scope of that access modifier is going to start, and ending is going to happen because of two reasons. Either you are using a different type of access modifier or you are encountering a closing bracket. Because of those two reasons, the access modifier's scope is going to end. Pause it.